Hello, Compass. All right, today what I want to share is why the Compass three-phase marketing strategy is good for homeowners. There's going to be increasingly talk out there in the space suggesting that it's not. And this is designed to help address some of those critiques. All right, so here we go. Before we start anything, it's important to note there is not a single thing that Compass advocates for that professional home builders and real estate developers aren't doing every single day. They have been carved out of Clear Corporation this entire time. They are the most sophisticated and profit-driven repeat sellers in real estate. And last year, they sold over 300,000 homes off the MLS. And so all we're doing is taking their roadmap and giving them to individuals. But let's start with this. Who here wants to guess what this is? It's not the United Nations. It's not the Secret Service. This is NAR's boardroom. It looks, from here, it looks several stories high. Chandelier, I'm sure was not cheap. But it gives you a sense of where NAR feels their place is in the world of real estate. And to create rules that they're literally called mandatory rules, mandatory submission, mandatory cooperation, mandatory participation rule, rules that govern the entire country of 1.4 million agents and hundreds of millions of individuals, rules that homeowners don't even know exist. And so what do you think Clear Cooperation is really about? If I were talking to a group of agents, they'll start hearing money, money, money. Yep, I think it's follow the money. And let's follow it for a moment. It seems to be that in NAR markets, 99% of agents are members of NAR. The average trade group, from what I can see, looks to be closer to 15% for the doctors, for lawyers. 99% is not a natural number. And so how did it get to be so high? How have 99% of people in a population saying, with my after-tax dollars, I want to give it to a trade group who's going to help me with a lot of great things. I think NAR does a lot of great work, but it's not natural. And so therein lies the three-way agreement. In order to access the MLS, you must pay your NAR, your state association, and your local association. That's not because homeowners are asking. It's not because agents are asking. Who's that for? And so the MLS is a system that because it is a monopoly means you have no choice. You must be a member or you can't do what you need to do. People are going to say, oh, Compass wants to be a monopoly. Compass is a monopoly. A monopoly means you have no choice. It means you must be an agent here. You can be nowhere else. There's no brokerage that's a monopoly. The MLS is a monopoly. You have no choice because they're the only thing that exists there. And Clear Corporation, as we'll look at in a moment, what it prevented is anyone from competing with MLS. Is Clear Corporation for consumers to protect them, or is it to protect the MLS? And so let's move on to the DOJ. This is a letter from the DOJ. This is public. It said, revise NAR's Clear Corporation policy to extend from 1 business day to 60 days, the time by which listing brokers must submit the listing to the MLS. Now, just how many homeowners in the country know that they're being forced to give the MLS their listing if they want 1 day of public marketing with their agent? And so even the DOJ says 1 day doesn't make sense. Here is another quote. This is from last year. Judge Florence Pan, United States Courts of Appeal, in the DOJ versus the National Association of Realtors. DOJ, in quotes, believes that Clear Corporation policy restricts home seller choices and precludes competition from new listing services. So here's the problem. Not only does it look like, from the DOJ's perspective, that it's precluding seller choices and competition, but let's go to the homeowner. What's the problem for the homeowner? This is the problem. I want you to imagine this is the last home you'll ever sell in your life. It's your home. And let's say you're over 80 years old. And it's the last dollar you'll ever make. This is it. This matters. This moment matters. If this is your listing, how do you feel about it? Let's look at the top right. There's 2 price drops. A buyer's going to ask one of 2 questions. Either how much do I have to pay to win this listing, or how much do I get off list price? If there's 2 public price drops, it's going to be the latter. Let's look at the far left. You're trying to sell this home. It's your home for $2.4 million. And there's a valuation estimate that says it's worth 2.2. Below that, 175 days on market. Days on market is the killer of value. No one wants that on their home. Why is it there? Let's go to the right. Climate risks, flood factor, fire factor, wind factor, insurance critical. Do you think all these numbers are accurate? Let's go to the right even further. Walkability. 6 out of 100 car dependent, bike friendly. 12 out of 100 somewhat bikeable. I don't know what somewhat bikeable means. Then in the middle, it says contact agent. How many people know when they click that button that they are not getting connected to the listing agent and they're being sold off as a third-party lead to whoever, to the highest bidder? This overall page, what I would describe it as, is a campaign of criticism. You, the agent, you work hard for the relationship. You get the listing, you take the photos, you pay for the photos. And then the MLS rules force you to give them the photos on all your content after 1 day of public marketing. And then there's a campaign of criticism saying you priced it wrong. There's days on market here. You don't know this. 2 different price drops. Nobody wants that on their listing. And look, I believe cooperation is a beautiful thing. But when cooperation was founded decades ago, none of this was here. When cooperation was founded decades ago, it was founded to cooperate for an agent, to cooperate with another agent at a different brokerage firm. It was not designed to force you to cooperate with a company that does not have agents, that does not have listings, and that does not have even their own clients, and who will take your listing, hide your contact information, and divert it to the highest bidder. That was not the founding principle of cooperation. So let's move on. 66% of homeowners believe showing days on market is bad for sellers. 48% of homeowners would not want price history displayed. This is a public third-party survey. And so this says that the market is speaking that they want options. If 48% of people want to be able to market their home in the country without days on market or price drop history, why shouldn't they be able to? The MLS and NAR, they are not elected officials. They're not government. These are not laws. This is a group that has rules that benefit some versus another. But ultimately, the client should have choice. Then they should have the same choice that developers and real estate home builders have. Let's move on. Homeowners also want off MLS exposure. There is significant seller demand to market off MLS. Off MLS listings are not new. Nearly every brokerage in the country has off MLS listings. In a January 2025 Zillow survey of U.S. consumers this year, just last month, 31% say, in quotes, say they would prefer to have it listed on a private listing network if they were selling a home they owned. So you're going to hear, again, Compass getting criticism. But for what? Compass getting criticism for just doing something that nearly every brokerage firm was doing well before we were founded. And something where even per Zillow, 31% of homeowners are asking for. We're just doing it really, really well. And we have always tried to look at what agents are doing, what clients want, and try to do it to the best of our ability. There isn't, as I mentioned before, a single thing that Compass advocates for that the most sophisticated sellers of real estate, developers and home builders aren't doing every day. They have been carved out of clear cooperation policy the entire time. And there's a lot of good narratives of why it's better to put the listing in the MLS. One of the classic lines is maximum exposure equals maximum price. The question is this: if maximum exposure really equaled maximum price, why did real estate developers and home builders sell 300,000 homes without listing them on the MLS and portals last year? These are the most sophisticated, profit-driven people. Why would they have done that? And if they can do that, how do you justify telling every homeowner that they cannot? Now, here's Pulte. This is a listing. They're a top 10 developer, sell 10 to thousands of homes a year. This is a listing that's not on the MLS. And when I called some of the developers, I asked them, why don't you put it on? Here are the things they said. I don't want days on market. I don't want price drop history. I don't want an evaluation estimate that says a different number than what I believe it is. I want to bring price up and down as the market moves without history telling me, oh, I was wrong before. I don't want to have weather stats that could be wrong. I don't want the listing agent that I hired to market my property. I don't want their contact information hidden and then every buyer inquiry sold off as a third-party lead. They wanted to see 100% of the engagement with their listing. Portals don't just take the leads, they take the engagement and the insights. And they want to be able to ensure that the photos can get off the internet. How many of you agents have had a client complain and say, how do I get my photos off the internet? Well, that's the problem. We, as an industry, have been forced into a system where we can't help our clients get their photos off the internet. And we can't even watermark our own photos. And when the MLS rules in almost every MLS I know of, they force you to give up ownership rights over your content to them. So here's the solution. The 3-phase marketing strategy. This is based on the playbook of what the home builders and real estate developers have done. The 3-phase marketing strategy is as follows. 1, start your listing as a Compass private exclusive. 2, move the listing to a Compass coming soon. 3, go active on MLS and live on portal sites with the benefit of price discovery from phase 1 and 2. Phase 1, and I'm going to walk through it as if I'm in the living room with a seller. With Compass private exclusive, I can privately market your home to the largest network of top agents without the risk of public price drops or accumulating days on market. This phase allows us to test price, gain critical pricing insights, and generate early demand. The pre-market exclusivity creates urgency among serious buyers, all while keeping us in full control to adjust the strategy as needed. Sometimes you find a buyer that will pay a premium for certainty or pay a premium to not have competition. I'll give you an example. In one of our markets, there was a buyer that came in and offered $14.2 million on a $15 million home. It was listed at $15 million. And what did the seller agent do? The listing agent said, I am sorry. My client will take nothing less than full ask, $15 million. Anything less than that, I'm going to put in the MLS and can compete against everyone else. So what did that buyer do? They offered 15. Certainty has a price and people are willing to pay a premium for it. Private exclusives come up first when agents search on Compass.com. It's a free sponsored ad. Phase 2, you move the listing to a Compass coming soon, where it's searchable by anyone on the internet, agent or consumer. In this phase, you still have no digital footprint of any kind, no days on market, no price drop history. And you, as the listing agent, you will still get all the buyer inquiries. I don't know of a way where the entire public can search your listing and all buyer inquiries go to you other than a coming soon through Compass. Next, here's the script. I'm in the living room. Next, we broaden your reach with a second pre-market phase through Compass coming soon on Compass.com. In this phase, the home is showcased to all to all agents and consumers on the internet without the risk of exposure from the MLS and portal sites where days on market and price drop history are publicly displayed. Then you go to phase 3. This is where you list the property on the MLS and portal sites with the benefit of price discovery from phase 1 and 2. So as you look at the price drops here, you're a seller. My fiduciary duty is to make sure that you don't have public price drops, because then you look like damaged goods. One of the key benefits of the three-phase marketing strategy, again, we learned this from the developers and the home builders, is you can get enough feedback in phase 1 and phase 2 from the public as they visit the property, where you could then see if you're not getting enough traction and if you know it's overpriced. And so I can go to a seller and I could say, we had 20 people come into the property and clearly we're not getting enough traction. We should bring down price before you go to the public, because then we'll be at a risk of a price drop. Now, movies, as an example, they don't just launch the movie. They have focus groups, tons of focus groups, to make sure everything is perfect and the movie is presented properly. And there's an example where it was a $30 million home, and I go inside, it's a private exclusive. I see all these people there, and I asked the agent, what are all these people doing? And what he said is that they realized from the early feedback that there's too much clutter. And so they're spending 3 days decluttering. But those 3 days of decluttering were while it was a private exclusive, not accruing days on market publicly. And so that is another example of how you can use these focus groups to make sure the property is presented in the correct way. This is the last script. Armed with feedback from agents and buyers, we strategically launch your home to the public market. By this stage, we'll have refined pricing, address any concerns, and optimize the presentation of your property. This ensures we enter the market with maximum demand and confidence to achieve the best outcome for you. This phased marketing approach is far more effective than a single public launch, because in the same ways movies launch multiple trailers to build excitement and demand, the three-phase marketing strategy allows us to launch your listing multiple times to build excitement and demand. Thank you. And so that's really what I wanted to share with all of you. And I'm more excited than ever of building a platform that gives individuals the same strategies, the same exposure, the same marketing as the home builders and real estate developers. And I do believe that over the course of this year, Compass will become known as the company that defended homeowner value.